So when you started working on the show, The Proud Family, what was important for you to setting the musical tone for the show?
Well, 20 years ago, when we first started Proud Family, uh, there weren't a lot of uh, animation series with starring an African American cast and an entire African American family. And so it's very important to be able to show, well, and let people hear, not only see these characters, but to hear these characters and hear what would the music, what would this life sound like for them? And that's what I was trying to get at. What would life be sounding like for this African American family and the things that they go through from day to day?
Now, often people, when they score, they do the pilot, they leave, or they come in after the show is established. How is it for you to be able to evolve the music yourself throughout the series?
It's been great. I love creating a sound for a show and then developing that sound for a show. That's the beauty of being in a television series is that we do get to build it and see how it grows over year after year after year. And then what's so really unique is to then 20 years later to be on the reboot of reimagining of Proud Family, to be there again to shepherd the show through their new stories.
Yeah, what's the challenge of doing that? Because it's 20 years, it's later. What's the challenge of kind of like updating the music, but also you want to honor the original? So
Yeah, it's it's a trick to be retro but not old. So that's what we look for in this and try to say they're doing stories from today, and I think that it's pretty easy to look at these characters as they are today, what they're saying today, and respond in kind.
let's talk a little about your origin story. When did you know you wanted to be a music composer?
I I've always known that I wanted to do music. At a very young age, I started seeing a lot of musicians that I respected, like Keith Jarrett and uh, Herbie Hancock and Miles and so on and so forth, wrote. A lot of people wrote, and I said, boy, but they wrote things around what they did strongest. Chick Corea wrote around his strong uh, uh, rhythmic abilities as well as melodic. And I said, oh, I'm just going to do that, and that made sense to me. But I noticed that I had always heard melodies in my head since a young kid, and I wrote and wrote and wrote. I wrote my first symphony when I was 12. I wrote thousands of pieces of music by the time I was in my 20s. And my brother, Ralph, was a writer a script writer for a show called Happy Days back in the late 70s, early 80s. And he had told me, he says, you write so much stuff, Kurt. So much different music. You should write for television. I said, Ralph, I don't even watch TV. Why would I write for it? I have no idea. And I didn't do it for a long time. And circumstances changed in my life, and I had an opportunity to do it. And I found out that it is something that I cared about a great deal, that it was very, very important to me. Today, I'd proudly say I would rather do the next great television show or film than to do the next album, great album. So.